Jai Hind. The topic which we are going to discuss today is related to blockchain architecture. And today we are going to cover the introduction of blockchain transaction flow and Merkle tree. So these are the points which we have already discussed in previous slides. So here what we need to know about it, blockchain, that it is a digital ledger, or sometimes we say that it is a digital database. It is a decentralized distributed database, not just a basic database, traditional database which you use. Blockchain ledger, it is distributed to all the nodes in the network. That is, all the nodes which we call them as the peer nodes, they are this particular ledger is kept as a copy on all these peer nodes, and we are calling it as a distributed ledger. Blockchain, it is decentralized, that is, there is no central control. All the nodes in the network, they participate in processing and creation of a block. And here a unique cryptography key secures every record on the blockchain. And this cryptography key which we are here using is my hashing technique basically. And for each block we create a hash value, and this hash value keeps all the transactions which have been recorded in my blockchain as safe and secure. So this figure only discuss about the characteristics of blockchain. Blockchain, when we say characteristics, it is decentralized in nature. There is no central authority which is maintaining this network. This ledger which we are keeping on all these nodes, it is transparent in nature. That is, all the information which you have stored in the block, it is visible to all. This particular ledger, it is working in the trustless environment. Trustless environment, that is among the trustless parties. Basically, blockchain is implemented in a trustless environment where we require to have the trust among the parties. What this imply? This imply, for example, party A wants to collaborate with party B, but there is no trust between A and B, but their cooperation is required. For example, between a manufacturing unit and a retailer unit, we are having two parties. They don't want to disclose their internal information to each other, but they need to cooperate among them, among themselves. So in that case, we could have a blockchain on which these two parties, they are coming and collaborating. So this particular blockchain, although the total environment is trustless, but still with the help of this common ledger, a trust factor is being built up between party A and party B. Privacy is maintained. It is quite secure because we are using hash function here, with the help of which it is secure. We are using the hash function, with the help of which what we are doing, we are keeping the ledger as an immutable ledger. What it implies, that in a blockchain we can only grow the blockchain, we can add the transaction in a block, but we cannot update the transactions in a block. That is, once the block has been created, you cannot change the content of a blockchain. Then the blockchain, it is working in a distributed environment. It is a digital ledger. Anyone any party can do the audit of this ledger. Why? Because this ledger is open to the public. It is immutable in ledger, and when you are adding a transaction in a blockchain, then multiple parties, they need to agree upon some common rule. If you are following that particular agreement, a consensus is being achieved, only then the transaction is being written to the blockchain. Now, blockchain basically it is of two types, where we can categorize it as public or private blockchain. Sometimes here we also another model as a consortium blockchain also exists over there, and another type of category is permissioned or permissionless blockchain. What is a permissioned or permissionless blockchain? Permissioned blockchain, basically it says that what kind of consensus is being maintained, what are the users, what are the parties, how the trust is being maintained, all the things, here it is governed by some central authority. Although we are using blockchain in the permissioned environment, but still there is some kind of rules or regulations being imposed here on the type of the workflow and the type of the algorithm which we are using. Whereas in the case of the permissionless, any user, they can come to the network, they can join the network and can become the part of a blockchain. There is no authority who can authenticate that, okay, these are the users, or you can say these are the valid users who can come and join the blockchain. In the case of the public, private and the consortium blockchain, public blockchain, it is open to all, whereas in the private blockchain, it is a blockchain which is being implemented with the help of some private organization. It could be my bank, it could be some other authority, for example, government authority for managing the land assets. They could have their own blockchains. So this is a private blockchain case. And in the case of the consortium, here in the case of the consortium, we are having a group of organizations which are having the different interest, but they are coming together to form a group, and the blockchain which we share here, it is a consortium blockchain. When we talk about the blockchain transaction, then a simple transaction, we are taking an example. For example, we are having user 1 and user 2, and we want to transfer 0.5 bitcoins from user 1 to user 2. Now, if we implement this particular transaction in the Bitcoin environment, then what are the steps? The very first step is the Joe requests the proposed transaction. That is, Joe sends 0.5 BTC from his wallet app. Then in the second step, the proposed transaction is broadcast to the network, that is to the blockchain network. Now all the peer nodes, they are connected here. So this particular broadcasted message is received by all the nodes. Now in step 3, the miners, they will verify the transaction and bundle it into a block along with other transactions. Now each miner, these are the miners, for example, they will receive such kind of transactions from multiple users or multiple parties. Now what they will do, once they receive a set of transaction within a specified amount of time, then they bundle it, that is group these transactions it into a block. Now once the miner is putting these transactions into a block, the miner, it will validate the authenticity of the transaction, that is whether the Joe is a authenticate person or not, is there any balance in his wallet or not. Such kind of activities the miners, they need to validate. So miner validate all the transactions they wish to include in the block which they plan to mine. Now when the mining process, they have validated the things, and now my mining process starts. Now what the miners will do, they will compete to solve the complex mathematical puzzle, that is a consensus need to be agreed upon, that is all the miners, they should come together and they should agreed upon something on the basis of which the transactions or that particular block is added to the blockchain. Now this is the consensus algorithm which we call. So here in this consensus algorithm there is some puzzle. All the miners, they need to solve this puzzle. So the puzzle require much computational power to solve, and this protect the blockchain against hackers, as it would be difficult and expensive to attack the network. Once that puzzle is being solved by, let's suppose miner A solve the puzzle, now he will send the answer to all the rest of the miners. Now the nodes, they will verify the miners' work, the remaining miners. So the miner who finds the correct hash, it broadcasts the block to the work. There are various kinds of consensus algorithm. Proof of work is one of them. So in the proof of work, what we do, we are provided with a puzzle and we need to find a correct hash value. Now once the miner who has found the correct hash value, it will broadcast this value to the network. Other miners, they need to approve or verify the block for it to be accepted into the blockchain. Once all the miners, they approve this thing, the winning miner can collect his reward and the block got added. That is, which we do in the step 6. Once the block is verified, the winning miner add his block to the existing blockchain, and now the Joe's transaction is added to the blockchain along with other transactions. Once the Joe, he or she complete the mining activity at his or her end, the other miners, they also updated the ledger at their ends. So the updated copy of the blockchain is circulated throughout the network. The transaction is being completed, and this is how the another user, that is N, receives 0.5 BTC in her wallet, and the transaction stands complete. So in a nutshell, what we can say, that in a blockchain transaction, it consists of P2P network requesting a transaction via wallet. The transaction is broadcasted to all the nodes. Transaction is validated. Once it is validated, it is added in a chronological order along with other transactions to create a new block, and the transaction is now a part of the blockchain once the consensus is being achieved within the miners. And once the block is added to the blockchain, it is permanent and it is immutable. Now the next topic or the concept which we discuss is the blockchain layers. So where the blockchain is basically sitting at the lowest, what we are having, we are aware that once we are active on the network, we are working on the TCP/IP infrastructure. So in TCP/IP infrastructure, we are having the internet layer. Now the blockchain layer is basically, it is sitting between the internet layer and the application layer. Now this blockchain layer, basically it comprises of 3 layers. One is at the lowest, we are having infra and the data layer. In the infra and the data layer, what we are having, what mining, then the nodes, tokens, that is being what is maintained in the network, distributed ledger. At the network layer, what we are having, since we are aware it is a peer-to-peer decentralized network, so here we are having the P2P broadcasting mechanism. And at the protocol layer, what we are having, that is the consensus algorithm of that particular blockchain. Now above that, before we are going to the application layer, then these 3 layers of the blockchain layer, they are interacting with the presentation layer through wallets, decentralized applications, or the smart contracts, here we are calling, browsers and the other apps. And above, we are having the presentation layer on our laptops, desktops, or smartphones. So here the presentation layer, we are aware that this layer is a door to the users that gives access to the whole network and blockchain applications. Here the UI and UX of the blockchain app come into play here. In today's competitive market, mobility and ease of usage are paramount to the customer satisfaction. It is no different for the blockchain, where UI and UX design play an important role. So a good UX design here in blockchain will enhance the customer satisfaction and loyalty by improving the product usability and interaction between the user and the rest of the blockchain ecosystem or company. This could relate to faster speeds, relevant information. UI design produces blockchain visuals or graphical presentations. It enhances the user experience with aesthetics, visual hints, and icons. On the application layer, basically it combines the business logic with the user interaction. It consists of dApp on a P2P network. So the dApps, sets the communication between the presentation and blockchain layers. So dApp is similar to a web app, except that while APIs are used to connect a website to a database, dApps connect to the blockchain via smart contracts. What is a smart contract? We have already earlier also seen here, but just for a reminder, the smart contract is a program containing a set of rules and criteria that automatically execute when a predefined condition happen in the system. Then we are having the blockchain layer. Here the blockchain layer, it consists of consensus algorithm, for example, POW, POS, etc., which we are going to discuss later on. The medium and the interface for the P2P network that decide how the data is packetized and transmitted between the peers. Then it also controls the mining layer, protocols that decides the consensus method, participation, nodes that execute the protocols, and the distributed ledger itself. Then in the internet layer, since we are aware blockchain is working over the internet, so this layer ties all the networks together, that is computers, IoT device, smartphones, some other relevant devices. Now comes towards the pros and cons of a blockchain. So we have seen that the massive potential of the blockchain is creating towards the decentralized, permissionless, secure and transparent applications. So here the main advantage is decentralized and distributed environment. So the blockchain technology, it works on the principle of a ledger which is distributed throughout the network, and this environment and the environment which we are using, it is a decentralized environment. So here what the advantage we got, it removes any single point of failure by replicating the ledger at every node in the network, and since there is no central authority in this case, so all the units, they are operating in a self-suffice manner, so it is another advantage. Better communication between the nodes, it fosters transparency and faster consensus and syncing of data. It allows for more engagement as everyone is involved in the decision making, that is in the consensus algorithm. All miners, they should come together to take a particular decision. But blockchain is having its own disadvantages also. In some cases, traditional database may be more suited. When we go for the blockchain, we should make a proper decision. We should analyze the current scenario, that whether the traditional database or blockchain, which one is suitable for our use case. Specific and trusted third parties exist in some domains. They may guarantee more efficient and specialized services using other technologies instead of a blockchain. If a time-tested and fully functional database and operational network are already in place, the benefits of replacing that traditional database with the blockchain is not a good option. Here the stronger players in the case of the mining, since if I have a more computation power, then my stake of solving the things is more high. Solving up the puzzle is more high. Then every time I am the only one who is solving the puzzle. And in this way, what is happening? Indirectly I'm controlling the network. Trustlessness, it is another important feature of a blockchain. So and how the trustlessness is achieved with the help of the cryptography. It completely replaces the need of third parties. Also, the complex consensus algorithms, they are running within the network to unanimously and securely agree on what should be added and should not be added to the ledger. So what are the advantages? Allows for the multiple entities or the key players who do not trust each other to come together. Ensures valid and accurate data and disintermediation, that is the removal of middlemen. But what is the problem? Integrity of the data is obtained at the expense of time. That is, every node needs to run the blockchain to verify the transactions and maintain the consensus. Currently, a blockchain can on an average process only 5 transactions per second, and it is very costly to add. Sometimes it is very costly to add a block in a blockchain. Significant computing power is expended by the miners, leading to substantial energy consumption and wastage, and it is not a green option. Nodes may prioritize transactions with higher rewards. Blockchain is immutable. So here what we can say, in blockchain technology, one cannot modify the data or transaction once they are recorded in ledger. So it becomes a permanent record that is close to impossible to undo. Any change required can be addressed only by adding a new block of data to the existing chain of blocks in chronological order, and this ensures that the database is complete and consistent. Now, what are the advantages? Contains a verifiable record made that is auditable. Anyone can do the auditing of blockchain and it is very easy. Consensus algorithm and block propagation mitigate the risk of double spending, fraud, and the manipulation of the data. There is a provenance, that is ability to track the transaction or product movement across the accounts. For example, if a particular person is buying a car or a land, then he can verify that from how many hands that particular land or car has reached to that particular buyer. But this immutability property is coming with some disadvantages also. Not every node has the capacity to maintain and run a full copy of the blockchain. And for this, sometimes multiple miners, they come together, they form a group and they do the mining activity. In smaller blockchains, there is a risk of a 51% attack. That is, if one or group of malicious nodes, they gain the access of the 51% of the mining hash rate, they can manipulate the transactions. Even they can manipulate the blockchain also. Quantum computing can potentially break the cryptography algorithm, since this immutability property we have achieved with the help of the cryptography algorithm, and nowadays we are aware that with the help of the quantum computing, they can break the cryptography algorithm to reverse engineer public keys of blockchain networks to obtain the private keys. This is the next concept which we are going to discuss, that is Merkle tree. So what is a Merkle tree? It is a binary tree and it is a hash tree. That is its node, it comprises of the hash values. It is named after its inventor Ralph Merkle. Merkle trees are constructed by hashing paired data, usually transactions, at the leaf level, then again hashing the hashed output all the way up to the root node, which is called as Merkle root. It is constructed bottom up, that is, we start with the bottom. Since it is a binary tree, that is, we start with combining the two nodes together. Here again, then in such a way we could create a tree. This won't come like this, since it is a binary tree. Now this leaf node, it consists of my transactions, hash value. Here Now these two transaction hash value combined together, we got a unique hash value over here, and in this way the hash values of the roots got generated, and this is the root node which is known as Merkle root. The Merkle tree, it is tamper proof. A slight change in the data at any level in the tree, the hash will not match. The hash is stored one level up until the root node. So the hashes in the tree change even if the order of the transaction is changed. So if the number of transactions in a block is odd, then the last transaction is duplicated to make it even. Merkle trees are used to verify if a specific transactions belong to a particular block. So this is just an introduction of the Merkle tree. How this Merkle tree is built up, what is a mathematical definition of Merkle tree, all these concepts we will see later on in the next video. That's for all today. Thank you and Jai Hind. These are the slide references from where I had made these slides. Thank you and Jai Hind once again.